Britons have reacted furiously to the EU's accusation that Britain's scrapping of red tape on Northern Ireland would be in breach of international law, with many pointing out that the bloc has not yet ratified the deal so doesn't have a leg to stand on. After Boris Johnson said temporary operational easings would be used to protect the flow of food to supermarkets in Northern Irish, European Commission Vice President Maros Sefcovic said, "This is the second time that the UK government is set to breach international law." The Prime Minister's plan of action was backed by Britons who said the EU had no grounds for such condemnation as it has not yet ratified the free trade agreement. In comments, Express slammed Brussels for trying to tie the UK into rules before the deal was approved across the Channel. One accused the bloc of employing mafia tactics to try to control Britain after it had left the Club of Nations. The reader said, EU mafia tactics. Trying to force NI to take produce from EU via ROI, no doubt at inflated prices. Glad we are out. A second reminded Mr. Sefcovic that the UK's actions would not be breaking international law because the post-Brexit trade agreement has not been ratified. They said, a threat to possibly renege on the agreement does not break any law. Only when this is done would it be such a breach of international law. And yet a third echoed them, saying the EU had resorted to posturing and deception to get their own way. The person said, there's no international law in operation because the deal isn't yet ratified by the EU. This is your typical EU posturing and deception. They make the rules up as they go along, to suit themselves. Another reader suggested the EU was trying to undermine the UK and bring about a reunited Ireland. They said people living in Northern Ireland have the right to the same standards as us on the UK mainland, and if that is not being achieved because of EU red tape, then ignore the EU. They added, I thought the whole agreement was about showing fairness and cooperation. It would appear that all the EU are trying to do is force a united Ireland via the back door. A fourth wrote, the EU doesn't have a leg to stand on, especially when they haven't even ratified the deal yet. Others got behind Mr. Johnson and supported his plan.